We have gotten the insane intro cutscene for Terminus inside of Black Ops 6 Zombies, and they have announced in 2 days time on August 8th we're going to be seeing the full gameplay trailer of Terminus at 8 AM Pacific time, 11 AM Eastern time. So it's unclear when Liberty Falls is going to be getting revealed. Is that going to be happening next week, or are they going to be saving that for a later point, such as at Call of Duty Next itself? And within the gameplay reveal, Treyarch are going to be unveiling the full gameplay mechanics and how all of the systems work. They will be doing a blog post explaining everything, and I'll be sure to cover everything here on the channel as well. So there's a lot to look forward to for upcoming marketing. I'm going to play the full intro cutscene for you now, and then I'm going to break it down because there's lots of secrets that I'm sure you probably missed upon your first watch.
7, 5, 9, 20 miles a day. 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Move. Moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war.
45.
Right.
45.
The things are something different.
46. 47.
Scheiße, I cannot take this anymore. Finally, a good song. Who the hell are you? This is Maya. She's with me. Breaking you out was my plan, so you're welcome.
Heck, you sick son of a bitch! You're supposed to be dead.
Relax, Major Carver. All of us here have a common enemy. The guy who locked you up. The guy who stole my life's work. Edward Richtofen. What do you say we find him and kill him? Huh?
Dimensional breach in progress.
Let's get out of here.
That wasn't a fucking deal. We're not going anywhere till we find my brother.
Look, it'll take me some time to get their helos split up, and we do kind of owe it.
Okay, Raptor 1. Go locate the landing pad. Peck, Strauss, hold up in the guard station. I want Richtofen's coordinates. Go to the store power, and then locate this woman's brother.
So we're picking up exactly where we were left at the end of Forsaken. We see Ernst Duffer, which is the security guard, watching the screens on the map, and some numbers are being spoken to the inmates whilst he is watching.
7, 5, 9, 20 miles a day. 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before.
It turns out these numbers don't mean anything special in particular. They're just from a poem that is used to interrogate and assert focus into the Requiem heads and the other inmates. And I just want to say, all of the Requiem heads look so much different when we last saw them. Of course, we are now using the Modern Warfare engine. This new engine looks absolutely stunning in terms of cutscenes, and we saw them in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies with their cutscenes, and they looked absolutely phenomenal. And I'm glad they're using the same technology now for the cutscenes in this game. And the characters do look so different because they are within these updated graphics. Of course, they have aged since we last saw them, but they still look so much different, but in a good way and probably a more realistic way. And we see that all of the characters are in their cells doing push-ups, getting prepared for revenge on Richtofen. And Ernst Duffer actually plays some music for Raptor 1.
Finally, a good song.
And this is in fact the Easter egg song Pareidolia from Shangri-La. But this isn't the only Shangri-La reference we get inside of this intro cutscene, because we see that Weaver, during these 5 years he's been trapped here, has been writing all sorts on the walls. Most noticeably are the tally marks that are absolutely everywhere, which I guess is very fitting considering we have tally marks for the rounds in Zombies. He also has drawn some war weapons. I don't know if he's actually able to summon these when he draws them on the walls to have as war weapons, and he's written the Russian names underneath. Now Weaver, even in his cell, has written down Richtofen, and what I'm interested in is how on earth have these characters worked out the name of Edward Richtofen, because we never knew the director of Requiem throughout Cold War Zombies, let alone his actual name. How did Weaver and the rest of them find out he's called Richtofen? Did they just hear them from the guards passing mentioning Richtofen? Why would Richtofen not redact his name like he did in Cold War Zombies? How have they figured out his name is probably going to be an important plot point here. And yeah, this surely is a reference to Shangri-La as well, because there was the altar where the people there worshipped him as a god and wrote the name Richtofen. So yeah, it's very similar. Maybe Richtofen, after they were captured, introduced himself to all of them, and that's why they know about him now. Maybe he even let them escape here purposefully because it somehow factors into his plan, and he's playing a massive game of chess once again, just like he did in Cold War Zombies, and we might be going right into his trap. However, there's some other really interesting stuff written down. The first, we see a sign which is used to protect against the Great Old Ones. Now, we saw the Old Ones in Vanguard Zombies. These are Dark Ether gods, so somehow Weaver now knows of these gods. And there's another sign which is a symbol of cult worshipping the Great Old Ones. Now, of course, we know of the Societe cult. I don't know if that is potentially one and the same of who he is referencing, but we had the Old Ones, of course, referenced all the way back in the Old Ether storyline as well with the Apothegons. They've been there in the Dark Ether for a very long time, and Spragmos actually prophesied that the Old Ones would return on Forsaken, so they may be getting reintroduced into the storyline, and we may be seeing some Lovecraftian-like creatures introduced into the story too. Spragmos' parchment specifically said the Forsaken's torment will be undone when the Old Ones reign once more, and of course Richtofen had the Forsaken contained in the containment chamber, and Zykov, to become the Forsaken, ate all of the Old Ones, absorbing their powers. That's why he became so powerful. So now that he is trapped, maybe it allowed them to be freed. We do see all of these red wisps escape him when he gets contained, so it's possible they're now returning. But will they be for or against us? Does Richtofen also want something to do with them? And Weaver's also written on the wall, I will have no dreams in breathless slumber. So maybe Weaver has been learning all of these things during his sleep. Maybe the Old Ones have actually been contacting him in his sleep in a similar way that's happened, for example, with Ava and the Entity, and has happened with many characters in Zombies in the past. And this can explain where he's learned all of this information in this gap. So I wonder if Weaver has been experiencing visions. He's also sketched in Requiem, and he's even sketched in their motto, which is Vicariamus Mortem, which means we shall have conquered death, which maybe is hinting the fact that we know they of course end up dead in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, so is this hinting at their return? There is also the name Harry or Harper or someone engraved. I have no idea who this is or who they could be. Leave your theories down below. And for some reason it's crossed out as well. Actually, second guessing it, now thinking about it, what if this is Maya's brother that she is looking for? There is another word written which appears to be dinky. I have no idea why that would be written or what that is referring to, but obviously that is something small, so what could that be? But this isn't the only thing that we see, because a shot later we see what appears to be the construct from Vanguard Zombies. Yes, that is right. If you didn't play Vanguard Zombies, the construct is a very important lore thing, because essentially it's something that has pre-existed the ether itself, the ether story. It's actually alive and is sentient, and it sort of senses out its own goals in the dark ether, and the construct can assign people as archons and grants them their desired wishes and powers. And we were speculating a lot throughout Vanguard Zombies that surely the construct is going to be important for the future, considering it was a massive groundbreaking lore change. So maybe Richtofen wants to unlock the power of the construct as one of his end goals. Now the construct only creates an archon after the requestee successfully complete trials and the construct deems them worthy of the power. So it's not something that anyone can just become. There's only been a very limited number of archons in the entire existence of the entire multiverse. Cortifex tried and failed. But why is Weaver writing all of these things down on the walls? How does he know about all of this stuff? Is it stuff that he's overheard from Ernst Duffer, the security guard? How does he know about all of these things? Or Or another thing could be that it's because of his exposure to Ethereum that's allowed him to start uncovering loads of secret pieces of knowledge about the Dark Ether due to its corruption. Now, there is also something at the top here which seems to look like a portal of some kind in my opinion, but I can't exactly make out. Actually, upon closer inspection, it kind of resembles the Elder Sigil from Modern Warfare 3 zombies, or some kind of talisman. According to leaks, there's going to be talismans on the map and a final talisman, so it's very possible it could be that. The Elder Sigils are basically a talisman anyways, and it makes complete sense with the old ones apparently returning, which are Elder Gods. If Richtofen does want the Construct's powers, then is he going to try to do so through the old ones? Most likely the old ones are going to be a bad entity though. Maybe throughout the storyline we're going to have to decide whether we side with Eddie or we side with the old ones, but both are out for their own goals of course. And maybe our characters are going to have to defend ourselves against the old ones, and I'm wondering if Richtofen actually propositions this to us and tries to convince us to sacrifice ourselves like we see them in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies to protect themselves against the old ones. Did Richtofen know the old ones would return as well? How does this factor into his plans? Now, Strauss is the character who has aged absolutely the most. He looks absolutely terrible, I'm not going to lie. Of course, he's very, very old now. He's been in the storyline ever since Vanguard Zombies, and he's been through absolute hell in his life, and he's very much addicted to Ethereum as well, so that could be possibly why. Now, when the music changes, Raptor 1 says that he loves this music, and we finally get a clear look at Raptor 1's face. Raptor 1 is another character that has been absolutely through the ringer throughout the storyline. He was, of course, just the person who would exfil us in the game, but he became a fan favorite character, and then he was shot down by Kravchenko and then captured on Mauer Toten, and then he was imprisoned with the rest of them by Richtofen at the end of Cold War Zombies, and now he's back, so I'm glad that he's smiling and he's playing with a ball and he's having good fun despite all of the situations. He seems to be the one coping the best with the terrible situations, because they've been getting brainwashed, they've been getting experimented on, they've been getting interrogated throughout these 5 years, so they're all going to be suffering immensely with PTSD, etc. Now then, surprisingly, Ernst Duffer's room is infiltrated by none other than Maya Alguinaldo, who slits his throat, so that's the end of him. He's gone. We were learning interesting lore information in the past teasers about him, saying that he previously worked at a similar prison in Berlin. I don't know if that could be a future Zombies map, for example, and then he literally ended up only lasting about 5 seconds in the storyline and he was killed. Now, some people are speculating that maybe he's going to return as a new version of Brutus. Of course, we have Brutus in the Vault Edition, but it's the original Brutus from Mob of the Dead. It's not him. However, I guess he could return on this map as Brutus, but so far we have no word on if that's actually the case. So Maya then breaks out the Requiem heads and the rest of them, and they're like, who the hell are you? They don't know who she is. She's a brand new character, of course. And then we are introduced to Dr. Peck, who comes in and takes off his hood. Now, of course, we last saw him when he was trying to request a boat to head to the Pacific Ocean, which is the location of Terminus, but the fisherman told him that there's nothing out there. So what I think's happened here is he's managed to get in contact with one of the locals, which is Maya, and they have teamed up to break the heads out. Now, of course, Peck acted as an antagonist in Cold War Zombies, but he was working as a mole in Omega for none other than Richtofen, the director of Requiem. But Peck says they had all of his life's work stolen by Richtofen, so now he wants revenge on him. So yes, Richtofen, of course, is going to be the main antagonist, the main villain in this game, and that's going to be the premise for the future DLC. So most likely, Peck just couldn't find here, and he's managed to get in contact with Maya. Now, interestingly, Maya's brother is also imprisoned here and captured by Richtofen, so maybe her brother's a scientist or someone involved with zombies as well. Richtofen wanted her for some reason, so basically the premise for the Easter egg is probably going to be trying to break him out. He's somewhere locked away. So yeah, despite Peck acting as a protagonist, he now wants revenge on Richtofen, so they share a common goal with the characters. He's even brought a full stash of weaponry, which the characters are going to be able to use to hopefully eventually take him out, and they even request for the coordinates of Richtofen, and they're hopefully going to locate them. So yeah, Maya is working with us, but she's just here for her brother, but I think she'll probably come to grow with our characters, and she's probably going to continue in the DLC to join us, because either her brother's been taken elsewhere and that can lead into the DLC, we're trying to track down her brother, or in the DLC they fail to rescue her and he's taken away or something like that, or maybe he's killed on this map and then she joins the rest of them with revenge. But I'm sure she's probably going to continue with us in the future DLC. It does seem like the map is going to be taking place in the Philippine Sea. We see it set at 3 AM at night on the 19th of February 1991, so that's when it's going to be taking place, and it's going to be taking place simultaneously with Liberty Falls. Now, we've learned lots of gameplay information as well while. I'll have a video probably coming out after this one because lots of stuff has leaked. But we have even more story information because Treyarch have actually released a blog post. It says, following the team's success on the Forsaken when Agent Samantha Maxis sacrificed herself to essentially seal the twisted dimension from the inside, worse was to follow, as Requiem senior staff members were unceremoniously arrested at the orders of the project director, finally to be revealed as none other than Edward Richtofen. Taking place over half a decade later, Black Ops 6 Zombies continues the Dark Aether storyline, exploring the fortunes of key characters while also delving further into Richtofen's motivations and goals. During the intervening years, former Requiem staff Gregory Weaver, Mackenzie Carver, Elizabeth Gray, Oscar Strauss, and Stoney Maddox, better known by his call sign Raptor1, so yes, this is the first mention we know of his name now, he's called Stoney Maddox, have been incarcerated at an outpost known as Terminus, a mysterious garrison located in the Philippine Sea. So, Maya, being a local, is of Myanmar descent, set close by. After being in prison for over 5 years, these characters have undergone significant mental and physical changes. Meet the Terminus team. As a long-standing veteran of the broader Black Ops storyline, Gregory Weaver is no stranger to the ever-evolving nature of war and conflict, and the grey area it frequently inhabits. Despite the guilt he feels for his perceived failure as the team's commander, he is more than determined to confront and expose his former director's duplicity and agendas, whatever they may be. He's done playing politics and is willing to burn the whole house down to expose the corruption that has led them to their current situation. Now, I wonder if this is actually a reference to the fact that we know from Cold War Zombies' intel that prior to Cold War Zombies, Samantha Maxis gave intel to Weaver for a target of assassination. After thinking he had killed this target, he burnt down their house to cover his tracks, later learning that his wife and son were inside and seemingly died. Now, we've speculated that this target for assassination was actually Richtofen himself, but of course he didn't know that at the time, but maybe now he's figured it out? And this could actually be Richtofen's motivations for his Project Janus, getting revenge on Weaver because he specifically told Dunst to treat Weaver harshly on this island. So this has to be part of his motivations. We know Richtofen has a wife and son, probably named Samuel, and maybe his son is now an ethereal orb in the Dark Aether, and Richtofen might be trying to resurrect him in some way. Maybe even the Construct, if he is granted the powers of the Archon, could allow him to bring his son back. So this surely has to be a reference to what Weaver did and exposing what Richtofen's motivations could be. We then have Elizabeth Gray, who is no longer the meek and somewhat naive scientist who was so thrilled to be invited to work with Requiem that she was somewhat blind to the realities of the Dark Aether threat and the dubious ethics of those who sought to control its power. These qualities had already changed with the loss of Samantha Maxis, but the injustice of her imprisonment brought out a tougher side she never even knew existed within her. Thanks to Carver's mentorship and training, her transformation has made her more than capable of facing any threat head-on. For Carver, his lifelong belief in the military, not to mention his own distinguished career, has been shattered. He is understandably aggrieved, but not bitter. On the surface, it may seem that he has run out of, and then it's redacted, to give, but instead, he is more dedicated to his friends and colleagues than ever, and believes that with determination, they will right this terrible injustice. And as for Strauss, not only has he not fared well under the strain of incarceration and intense interrogation, his age and increasingly eccentric personality mean he's deeply reliant on his colleagues, not just for his own physical well-being, but also his sanity. So yeah, there's 7 characters here, but it does seem like there's only going to be 4 playable characters, a set crew. I don't know if Strauss, Peck, and Raptor1 are going to be playable. Presumably Raptor1 is actually going to be the exfil person again, because as soon as he's broken out, he mentions the fact that he needs to find an exfil, and most likely that's going to be his role.
Look, it'll take me some time to get their helo spun up, and we do kind of owe it.
Okay, Raptor 1. Go locate the landing pad.
So I don't think they're going to be playable. I don't know what Strauss and Peck are going to be doing whilst we're on the map though. Peck and Strauss both seem to be waiting in the chambers whilst Raptor 1 is heading to the exfil site.
Peck, Strauss, hold up in the guard station. I want Richtofen's coordinates.
So it seems like Strauss and Peck will be communicating to us via radio as we're doing the Easter egg on the map, as they will be trying to locate the location of Richtofen. And I'm assuming that Richtofen is probably at the other location, Liberty Falls. And that can be how the 2 Easter eggs intercept. I don't think they're going to be playable. This would have been a good opportunity to have our first 7-player crew, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Maybe they're going to be involved as NPCs on the map, involved in the Easter eggs. But Strauss seems like he's too weak to actually be a playable character. character, so that could be why. Now, events take an explosive turn when Maya Aguinaldo, a young Filipina smuggler, arrives on the island in pursuit of her own and very personal agenda related to the disappearance of her own brother. So yeah, she is a smuggler, so that gives you a bit of a background, which I guess she's perfect for breaking them out. She's very accustomed with stealing and breaking into things, but why did her brother get captured? I wonder if maybe they were both smugglers, and maybe when he was smuggling, he just ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time and ended up maybe on Terminus himself, or maybe broke into something of Richtofen's and he had him imprisoned for it. More significantly for our team, she is accompanied by a familiar but far more welcome face. There are many profanities that could be used to describe Dr. William Peck, but even the most offensive ones would fail to adequately do justice to how detestably he is in the eyes of our heroes. Now we learn about the zombie outbreak and the etheric incursions, a black site overrun. Even though Aguinaldo and Peck are primarily here to set our heroes free, their arrival coincides with Terminus Island suddenly becoming the epicenter of yet another outbreak. Consequently, suspicions are high. Not only that, but it soon becomes clear that the chaos on Terminus is not the only incursion from the Dark Ether. On the other side of the globe, the West Virginia town of Liberty Falls is also facing its own zombie onslaught. So yeah, Liberty Falls is going to be set in the day with this map at night, of course, because they're across the globe, but set simultaneously, so surely the Easter eggs are going to coincide. Now, if I had to guess, maybe the outbreak actually begins on Liberty Falls, but they crop up in many places around the globe, including Terminus as well, where there's probably a weak spot with the Dark Ether. Now, what I find interesting is that the other characters in this cutscene do not seem surprised that there is a zombie outbreak happening here and an incursion. An alarm goes off, of course, and they don't really seem that shocked to me, so it seems like they were expecting this. Now, I don't know why the zombie outbreak actually begins. Maybe Richtofen opens up a Dark Ether gateway for his goals with Project Janus. That's probably why this happens, but I'm not exactly sure. Now, personal grievances and suspicions aside, the dire circumstances mean that this disparate group of battle-hardened heroes has little choice but to fight together if they are to have any chance of survival. So that explains why Peck and the rest of them, despite their grievances, are having to work together because they have no other choice. The zombies are quickly rushing. I hope that Peck is a playable character. Like I said, so far there's been no announcements and the blog does not specify anything, so maybe on the reveal on Thursday where they give gameplay details, they'll let us know. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to say in this video. So that's pretty much everything we've learned from the intro cutscene. If there's any other secrets, let me know. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you with the reveal very soon. And bye.